A very long time ago, in the deep mountains of Korea, there lived mystical beings hidden away from human eyes. Among them, none instilled as much fear as the thousand-year-old fox. According to legend, when a fox lives for 1,000 years, it grows 9 tails and becomes a Kumiho, a magical creature possessing profound and mysterious powers. However, unlike other Kumihos, this one held a different dream. She desperately wanted to become human. She knew of a heavenly promise that if she could live with a man she truly loved for 100 days without her true identity being discovered, she would be granted a human life. For centuries she had watched from afar as humans loved, laughed, and grew old together. One day, determined to change her fate, she transformed herself into a beautiful young woman and descended from the mountains into a nearby village. The villagers warmly welcomed the stunning stranger who had suddenly appeared in their quiet countryside. Through their introductions, she met a kind scholar named Ho, and the two soon began living together. Because Ho was poor and busy preparing for the state civil service exams, they could not afford to marry right away and simply shared a home. Although the Kumiho was deeply happy receiving Ho's love, she harbored a dark secret. Every night she had to return to the mountain and temporarily revert to her fox form. Soon after her arrival, strange rumors began to circulate through the village. Travelers were said to be disappearing in the nearby woods, and graves on the mountain were being dug up. Fear spread quickly as dead bodies were found, and the desecration continued. The village elders grew highly suspicious that something sinister was at play. Despite knowing the villagers' fearful whispers, the Kumiho was suffering her own agonizing internal battle. She needed to survive the 100 days wrapped in her lover's affection, but the wild beast inside her simply refused to sleep. Meanwhile, Ho, who cherished the woman he believed to be human, began to find her nightly disappearances and dawn returns increasingly strange. Though he loved and cared for her deeply, seeds of doubt had been planted. One night, he secretly followed her up the mountain. After tailing her up a narrow path, she finally stopped at the village cemetery. There, under the pale moonlight, Ho witnessed a shocking sight. The woman leapt into the air, did a somersault, and transformed into a monstrous 9-tailed fox. He watched in horror from his hiding place as she dug at a grave. After sitting before the grave for a long time, she transformed back into the beautiful woman and wept bitterly as she gazed up at the moon. Realizing there must be a profound and tragic reason behind her actions, Ho quietly returned home. The following night, as she tried to slip out again, he grabbed her wrist. Startled, she froze as Ho asked, "I secretly watched you last night. Tell me, what is your story?" Tears streaming down her face, the Kumiho confessed everything. She admitted that she was a 1,000-year-old 9-tailed fox, but pleaded that she was only days away from completing her 100-day promise to become fully human. She begged Ho to pretend he knew nothing for just a little while longer. Unwilling to lose the beautiful woman he loved, Ho promised to keep her secret. Only a few days remained until she would become human. But then disaster struck. A terrible drought swept through the village, cracking the earth and ruining the crops. The desperate villagers, looking for a scapegoat, realized that the new woman was the only recent change in their town. They blamed her for bringing this misfortune. Armed with weapons, the angry mob hunted for her, demanding she be sacrificed to the mountain god to lift the curse. Desperate to protect her, Yunho hid the Kumiho and lied to the villagers, claiming he had no idea where she went. As if the drought were not enough, a massive forest fire suddenly broke out on the mountain. The ferocious flames grew larger and rapidly advanced toward the village. Yunho's thatched cottage sat right at the entrance to the mountain, directly in the fire's path. As the terrified villagers began fleeing for their lives, Yunho rushed to the secret shed to escape with his love, but she was nowhere to be found. Frantic, he ran toward the blazing mountain to find her, ignoring the villagers who screamed that he would die if he went up there. Just then, the sky abruptly darkened, and a torrential downpour began to fall. The heavy rain battered the earth, and the villagers who were fleeing with their belongings on their backs cheered, realizing they had been saved. Once the fierce fire that had raged for days was finally extinguished, Yunho climbed the mountain. There, in front of the village cemetery, he found the charred, lifeless body of a fox. To save Yunho and the villagers, the Kumiho had unleashed all of her 1,000-year-old mystical powers to summon the rain and put out the fire, completely draining her life force. None of the villagers knew the true identity of the heroic fox, but Yunho knew. Standing alone on the mountain ridge, weeping bitterly, he looked up and saw a miraculous vision. The Kumiho, in her human form but adorned with 9 radiant tails, was wrapped in a brilliant light, slowly ascending into the heavens. As she faded into the celestial glow, Yunho whispered, "You saved everyone in the village. I loved you so much. I know we will meet again in heaven." And so, the heartbreaking, unfulfilled love story of Yunho and the Kumiho was passed down, becoming a legend told for generations to come.